All right, first and foremost, giving honor and praise to the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Giving double honors to 7130 South Chicago that taught me this truth. Giving double honors to all the brothers and sisters that the Creator has awoken in these last days. With that being said, peace and shalom. We the Hebrew Israelites coming in and week out, preaching the destruction and the downfall of this kingdom, which is, in modern day terms, the Babylonian mystery system. And it behooves the so-called black man to return back to his nationality, to return back to the Creator. You know, Malcolm X made a statement back in the day. He said, in order for us to get the Creator to fight our battles, we got to get on the Creator's side. And that's what's wrong with the so-called Negro, because we have been void of understanding. We don't know who we are from a nationalistic standpoint of view. And as a result, we don't know who everybody else is. See, contrary to popular belief, the so-called Negro thinks that everybody is his friend, see? But when we look in our neighborhoods, we look at the educational system, we look at the economics, we look at the health and the leadership in our communities, we see that everybody else is on top and the so-called Negro is on the bottom. And there's a reason for this, see? The reason for this is that we suffer the sins of our ancestors. See, when our ancestors was brought over here, they had a historical memory on who they was from their ancient cultural, historical roots. And one of the biggest problems that plagues the so-called black community is that we are void of understanding. You ask a so-called black man what's his nationality, where he comes from, he's gonna give you a whole different litany about where he comes from. You know what I'm saying? We got the Afrocentric community. We have the Afrocentric community. We have the Nation of Islam, right? We got Nuwapianism. We got Carbon Nation. We got all these various different groups. It's because we're seeking to find out who we are from a nationalistic standpoint of view. But the answer is right there in the Bible. But most of us don't even understand that the Bible is our history. It's because of why? It's because the curse that the Creator put our ancestors up under, because they rebelled against divine order. So let's look at something. Let's turn to the book of Deuteronomy, since we're on the topic. Let's turn to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. The book of Devarim, or the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the first verse, it says, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken, it says, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahdael, is because that's the true power of the nation of Israel. See, when we was in the land, we didn't know nothing about no Jesus, right? We didn't know nothing about Yahshua, even though Yahshua is a common name in the nation of Israel, but we weren't calling on Yahshua as a God, see? We wasn't doing that. So, the Creator that was speaking to it, because this is so-called black history. See, this is so-called black history. So when the Creator told us to, what it says, and if thou shalt, it says, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim. See, that's who we called on. See, we called on Yehovah, the Creator. See, that's who we called on. See, we didn't know nothing about, this is 2,000, 3,000 years ago. See, we didn't know nothing about Jesus Christ. See, we didn't know that coming over here. But these are the gods that have been associated with our history and our saga via the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. So this is us in the wilderness. It's because the Creator, he did a miracle, and he said he brought us out of the land of Egypt, right? So in the wilderness, the Creator was speaking to us or integrating with us one-on-one, right? From a one-on-one basis, right? So this is the Creator saying what? And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh El, and observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the power of Israel will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. See, we had a job to do. See, our job was to learn the Creator's statutes and his commandments, and we were supposed to teach them to the nations. See, that's what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to teach the commandments to the nations. Because the Creator said what? If we hearken diligently and keep his commandments, he was going to set us on high above the nations. And this is before we even got into our own land, which is over there in Northeast Africa, which is Jerusalem. See? This is way before this. It took us 40 years to migrate into the land because, see, we wasn't ready spiritually. And we're not really ready today. That's why we're going to have a second exodus out of this country, right? It's because we're influenced with a lot of the doctrine and the teaching that the slave master over here has influenced us with, right? So it says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh El, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yah, thy power, will set thee on high above all, it says, above all the nations of the earth. And it don't necessarily mean that when he's talking about he's going to set us on high above the all nations, that only means that what? We're going to teach the nations the commandments of the Creator. So in actuality, we had a job to do. This is our ancestors. See, they had a job to do, right? They were supposed to bring forth righteousness and judgment amongst the nations. And the reward for that is that the Creator was going to empower us above the nations. See? So it says, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh El. Blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field. So what is that? That's a sense of empowerment. So when we was in our land, we were supposed to be the measuring stick that all the nations had to look to. See, when they supposed to see somebody righteous, they supposed to look at us as a nation of people, right? They were supposed to see camaraderie. They were supposed to see brotherhood, right? They were supposed to see righteousness amongst us as a nation of people. That's why the Creator said that he's going to set us on high above the nations. See, in our land, see, we didn't have the police department and all this type of stuff. We didn't have those type of things. There was no gang violence, and there wasn't supposed to be gang violence in the land. See, when we was living, before we even came to the land of Jerusalem, because most of us don't even know where we come from. See, we don't even know where we come from. And how you gonna know where you going if you don't know where you come from, right? So it says, blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. So sheep, cattle, and things of this nature, that's symbolic of today what? That's economics. See? That's economics. So every nation on the face of this planet, whoever you are, whatever tongue you speak, you're supposed to have an economical system, you're supposed to have a health system, you're supposed to have an educational system, and you're supposed to have a leadership system, right? So these are some of the things that we were supposed to be empowered with, that we were empowered with when we came into the land, see? But our people don't understand that is because, see, they have never seen nothing like that before. The black man in this country has never seen himself govern himself outside of the so-called white man. But see, this is so-called black on this black history. So before we made it, when we was in the land, when we had the one-on-one conversation with the Creator in the land, these are some of the things that the Creator was telling our ancestors. That we was going to have our own economical system, that we was going to have our own health system, our educational system, our leadership system, see? We were supposed to have that because, see, but who was going to be our leader? Our leader is going to be the Creator, right? Because we was the only people, this is history, we was the only people outside of the other nations that dealt with the so-called, what they would call the spook god, right? All the other nations, they built their idols by their hands. We was the only nation on the face of this planet that dealt with what you would call, they call the spook god, or the spirit, see? That's what we was dealing with. Because the nations, when they saw us coming out of Egypt, they was wondering how did these people come out of Egypt? But it was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that brought us out of the land of Egypt. See? And Moses, or Moshe, he had been telling Pharaoh and them a long time ago that while he was prophesying that these things is going to happen. Right? So it says, blessed shall be thy basket, thy store, blessed shall thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. Yah shall cause thy enemies to rise up against thee, to be smitten before thee. Let me read that over. Yah shall cause thy enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. And they shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. So this is the empowerment that the Creator set our people, that he was going to set our people on high on, right? There was not going to be no Trayvon Martin, see? There was not going to be no Eric Garner. Because if you building in righteousness, all your enemies is going to be what? They're going to be, they're going to have to bow down to your feet, see? Symbolically meaning what? They're going to respect you as a nation. We were supposed to trade with the other nations. And the other nations are supposed to trade with us. And we were supposed to be able to teach the nations. So this is a sense of empowerment that the Creator gave us before we step into the land of Canaan, aka Jerusalem. right? Later on, which is called Jerusalem. So all of this is spoken when we was in the wilderness. When we was wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years, right? Or what you would call 40 days and 40 nights, symbolic of 40 years that we wandered throughout Africa and things of this nature, or the northeastern part of Africa. So it says, and Yah shall command the blessing upon thee and thy storehouses, and all that thou settest thy hand into. And he shall bless thee in the land which Yah thy El giveth thee. Right? And Yah shall establish thee a holy people unto himself, and as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of Yah thy power and walk in his ways. So we only had one job to do, is to be what? We supposed to took on righteous principles. See, the principles that the Creator has established to our ancestors, given to us by Moses. See, we were supposed to establish those principles, those customs, those traditions. But it's hard for our people to understand this, is because, see, they have never saw us as a nation of people ruling our own government, having our own flag, having our own economical system, and things of this nature. So a lot of these things have been taken away from us via what? Jeremiah, the 17th chapter and the 4th verse, it says, thou and thyself, I'm just paraphrasing, shall do what? Discontinue from your heritage. That's why when we have so-called Black History Month, the farthest that we go of our pioneers and things of this nature is what? Slave history. We talk about what? Martin Luther King. We talk about Malcolm X, which were great men in their time, but Denmark, Vesey, all of that is what? That's slave history. See, that's the slave rebelling against what? The plantation. What we talking about today is a history that transcends slavery. And this is what our people don't know. They don't know their history outside of 1619 or the 1500s. But the Creator said that if we kept his commandments, that we was going to be a blessed people. See? That he was going to set us on high above the nations. That when the nations look at us, you know, when they look to us, that see the Creator was trying to make us out of what? A measuring stick for the nations. Because all the nations around the world, believe it or not, even though they had their own countries, they had their own land and things of this nature, they was a barbaric people. See, they were heathens. So the Creator set the nation of Israel to be what? The teachers of the nations. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about our history that transcends 1619. See, we're talking about history that transcends Malcolm X history, Martin Luther King, right? What's my man name? James Baldwin. All these people that was here that fought for certain rights in the countries and things of this nature. But we're talking about something that transcends that, right? So it says, and Yah shall make thee plenteous and good in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which Yah sware unto thy fathers to give thee. The power shall open unto thee his good treasures, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in its season, and to bless all the work of thy hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not be what? Thou shalt not borrow. See? Just like how we doing it today, we borrowing from other nations. We begging the nations to do things for us that we supposed to be doing for ourselves. See, that's because you don't have an economical system. See, you don't have an economical system. So if you don't have an economical system, so how are you going to be able to establish money? See? And what is money? Natural resources. That's really what money is. Money is really natural resources, right? Because during this time, see, we was farmers and things of this nature. We traded with other nations, but see, the Creator said what? I'm gonna establish you economically, so you can be able to sustain yourself as a nation, right? So it says, and Yah shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of Yah thy power, which I command thee this day, to observe and do them. So these were the blessings that the Creator established upon the so-called black man when we was in the wilderness. See? He said what? When I return you back to the land, when I put you into the land of Canaan, I'm going to establish you as a mighty people, a righteous people, because the term holy means Kodash, right, in the Hebrew. So we was going to be a special people, and we were supposed to be a thriving nation, which eventually going to bring all the nations to the Creator, right? But see, our people don't understand that is because, see, our people is still wondering what you would call, we're in the valley of the dry bones, see? Right now, we're a nation that's in exile, right? Verse 15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yah thy El to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So verses 1 through 14 is the blessings, and verses 15 through 68 is what? The curses. Because we didn't do what we were supposed to do as a nation of people. We were supposed to be a righteous nation of people, right? So this is the Creator saying that 14 verses, if you do what I tell you to do, you're going to be blessed beyond measure. But if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to be cursed among measure. See? You're going to be cursed. Right? And these curses they have to fit a certain type of people. Cursed shall thou be in the city. Cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. So this is the Creator telling us, warning us what was going to happen to us before we even made it into our own country. Right? If you listen to me, you're going to be blessed. If you don't listen to me, you're going to be cursed. And he outlined all these curses that was going to establish with us. See, when we was in the land of Jerusalem, when we started to follow the gods of the other nations, we had become what? A cursed people. to most of our people that they don't know how we came over here in 16, 19, you know what I'm saying? How we came over here to the country. Our ancestors that came over here had a what? Historical memory of their ancient cultural historical roots. They knew who they were. See? The white man didn't bring no niggas to America. See, he brought the nation of Israel to America. And see, these curses is going to follow us in the land and outside of the land. Because where we living at now, we living in rural cities, right? 50 states. We living in what? The slums. And our cities is cursed. It's because why? We don't control the educational system in our neighborhoods anymore. See, like I said, it was a time when we was in our own land, we control everything that, see, a nation of people is supposed to control things. But like now, what we're doing is, because we're following after the gods of the other nations, we're looking to the other nations to establish us as a group of people or a nation of people, something that we should be supposed to be doing for ourselves. But see, we can't do it. It's because as a nation of people, we're cursed. See? Well, we were cursed. And a lot of us, it still is cursed, is because we put to sleep as a nation of people. Right? So it says, cursed shall thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks. See, we were supposed to have good health. We were supposed to rule our communities. And look at us today. We lead in majority of these diseases that's going on in the country. See? We're leading in HIV, right? We're leading in diabetes. A lot of these different diseases that's going on, because see, diseases are a result of things that's not in order. See, when you don't have order in the community, if you don't have a structure in the community, that's what sets up disease. So these are some of the curses that our ancestors were plagued with. See, we got plagued by diseases when we was in the land. And we being plagued by diseases even to this day. And the Creator said what? He said, cursed shall thou be in thy city. It was a time where we started to follow after these other gods, these other nations. The city of Jerusalem had become cursed. It was a time in the city in Jerusalem where we had peace for 40 years under Solomon. See? It was a time when we had peace. But now there's no more peace. See, we're cursed as a nation. It says, and Yah shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hand unto for to do. And thou shalt be destroyed until thou perish quickly. Because it says, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. And like I say, what were some of the wicked things that we was doing as a nation of people? See, just like we support the LGBTQ community today, we was doing that in the land. See? We was committing abominations, right? We was following other gods. We was eating abominable food, right? We went to war against each other. See, they talk about black on black crime in the black neighborhood. We've been doing this. And this is a result of the cursings. It's because when we look at each other, we don't see ourselves as brothers and sisters. We see ourselves as what? Enemies, right? It says, and Yah shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. And what is one of the pestilence that he set upon us? He set upon these nations. See? Because slavery just didn't start in America for us. We was in slavery out there in the west coast of Africa. We had become slaves. We was in slavery before that. Actually, the so-called black man been in slavery for 2,500 and something years. See, we don't even know that. We was in the Greek captivity, right? We was in the Roman captivity, the Medo-Persian, the Babylonian, the Egyptians, the Philistines had their hands on us, right? The other nations that's in Africa, they had their hands on us. Because, see, we was hard-headed and stiff-necked. We didn't want to hearken unto the Creator. And it's terrible for us today. And it's terrible for us today is because a lot of us are sincere in these churches, but it's hard for us to understand who the Creator is, because the Creator has done what? He has removed himself away from us spiritually, see? So it says, and Yah shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee. That's physical disease. And another disease that he had to cleave upon us is these other nations. So it says, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. And Yah shall smite thee with the consumption, and with the fever, and with the inflammation, and with the extreme burning, and with the sword, and with the blast, and with the mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. So we had physical diseases, but one of the diseases that was plaguing us as a nation of people, every time when we started to follow after the traditions of the other nations, the mildew, the fever, and the stink was these other nations. Because when they took you into slavery, they didn't show you no ease. See? They didn't have no respect for you. It's either you're going to bow down to their gods, or we're going to put you to death. See? That's what was going on. And see, another consumption and another fever, right? And another mildew that we're suffering with today is the so-called white man, the European common market system. See? It has been a mildew to us. It's because we can't control nothing inside of it. We got to be honest. The so-called white man has never empowered our people before. See, when we look at the migrants that's coming over here to America, right? They coming over here by the thousands, right? It's rumored, well, it's not rumored, it's happening. They finna pay their rent until they get on their feet. What is that? That's a sense of empowerment, see? They already established $55 million to house and support these people. See? And that's a sense of empowerment. But see, the so-called white man has never empowered the so-called black man. When they so-called freed us in 1865, they didn't put us back in our lands. They didn't put money behind us to establish us as a nation, to show us how to farm, cultivate the land, build schools, build educational systems and things of this nature. They never did that, see? And all we have suffered from as a people is what? Is the extermination and the dismantling of us as a nation of people. So it says, and Yah shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever and an inflation and with an extreme burning and with the sword and with the blasting and with the mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish, and thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. See, and what is that symbolic of? That's symbolic of slavery, see? Because America is supposed to be what? America is supposed to be a melting pot for all the nations. But really, America was a hell to us as a people. And it still is. It's because if you don't know who you are from a nationalistic standpoint of view, you still in hell, see? You still in hell as a nation of people. The police can shoot you down in the streets, and they can get off for it. It's because why? It's because they got the backing of the system to do these type of things. It says, Yah shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven it shall come down upon me until, it says, upon thee until thou be destroyed. See? So the nation that the land that the Creator empowered us with, that we were supposed to have blessings, he turned it into what? Utter chaos. Because later on, the power and dust, symbolic of what? Of the mass confusion that was going on in the land, that eventually metastasized into the nations coming to do what? Take us into captivity. See? They took us into captivity, y'all. See, our captivity transcend 1619. See? We was under the foot of the Babylonians. We was under the foot of the Egyptians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. That's who we was under the foot under. So it says, Yah shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. What is that? Eventually, that's how we became what? Scattered throughout all the nations. See? We become a scattered nation. And look at us today. We're in exile. And we still scatter the so-called white man. See? We still in fear of him. Because we saw the hangings and things of this nature that took place in this country. See, we killed one another, and I'm not advocating killing nobody. I'm just stating facts. We kill one another like it's nothing, but see, we're not going to kill these nations that come in our neighborhood and set up businesses and take all the money out the neighborhood. Our people today, we so confused. You can see a person like me out here preaching the Bible, a brother will come walking up, and then what he'll do, he will intentionally try to do something to me because I got a Bible in my hand. See? This is the confusion that's going on with our people. But all of that is under the divine judgment. See, there's nothing happening in the world that's not supposed to be happening. See? So it says, And Yah shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. And Yah shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. And Yah shall smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch whereof thou canst not be healed. See? And these are some of the plagues that was bestowed upon our people. See? And look at us today. We got the botch of Egypt today. See, we're plagued as a nation of people. We hate one another. We can't do business with one another. Like I say, we lead in a lot of these different diseases that's out here. Because there's no structure, there's no leadership, there's no camaraderie amongst us as a nation of people. Right? And see, all these curses that the Creator has said, it has to fit a certain type of people. But see, there's a people that's on the scene that's declaring themselves as us, but see, they not really us, right? And we talking about the Jewish community. See, it's because they have surnamed themselves after who? After us, right? Taking on our identity and things of this nature. And now the so-called Negroes looking at themselves as what? As a vagabond, see? It's because he don't have the true knowledge of self. It says, and Yah shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness. So why is that? It's because amongst these nations, the nations is not going to treat you with no type of ease. All the blessings that the Creator has blessed you with, He's going to curse you with them, see? You're not going to control your economical systems. Your educational system is going to be destroyed. The nations is going to hate you. They set up Jim Crow laws in the country. They said that the black man is a savage that live in the jungle of a subhuman level. He ain't made no contributions to human history. That he a race of nobodies. See? You was running at night to run from the white man. You was scared at night, and you're gonna be scared in the morning time. See, you're gonna grope in those days. They used our kids as alligator bait. But it's not really them that's doing it, it's really the Creator that's doing it. See? It's because we rebelled against the Creator. Let's look at this. And thou shalt prosper in it says, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled even evermore. And no man shall save thee. See, ain't no man gonna. So when we talking about all these different leaders or people that came up out of slavery, they didn't save you. See, Malcolm X didn't, as great of a speaker as Malcolm X was, Malcolm X couldn't save you. It's because Malcolm X, and his sincerity, he wanted to give you the same religion that puts you in slavery. Even though they form of Islam was different, it wasn't traditional Islam, but in all within itself, it's still a slave religion. Martin Luther King, which was a great man in his right, Only thing that he can give you was a slave religion. See? That's the only thing that he can give you. They march for the right for our people to be able to establish themselves in this country without racism, but it still didn't free us. Because true freedom is when a man is able to have his own flag. He's able to have his own country, to govern himself. We don't have that today. It's because we're still manifesting the results of Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. It says, and thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with. What is that? That's slavery, y'all. See, that's slavery. When the white man, when we marry our wives, the white man is sleep with her first. And he keep on sleeping with her. She getting up 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night to go down to the slave master house, right? And you as a man, you don't have no power. You gotta let this man do that. Unless what? Unless he gonna kill you and your family. See, this is the so-called white man before the 13th and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. See, he was a monster. And see, we can't identify him today as because why? He's hiding behind these different amendments that has been established in the country. So what is his form of racism today? He's going to establish all these different stores in the community, Walgreens and things of this nature, but you're not going to control them. You're not going to be able to grab the money and build up the neighborhood. All that money going to him. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes. See, that's what happened to us in the slave plantations. See, we built palaces and things of this nature. Just like we was helping building the pyramids and stuff like that. The pyramids that we was building over here was what? Houses and skyscrapers. And we was not allowed to do what? Reap the benefits thereof in the country. See? So what we talking about is slavery outside of 1619. So this is what was happening to us through slavery. See, this is not Jewish history. This is Negro history. But you know, the so-called black man, see, we don't forget about this via the 13th and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. See, we don't forget about all this type of stuff. See, we able to ride around in cars and things of this nature. But a lot of that stuff is going to be taken away from us because, see, America is going to be destroyed. See? See, America is about to be destroyed because why? It's because she has fulfilled her lot. She has taken the so-called black man into captivity, robbed him of the knowledge of self, and now the Creator's in the process of doing what? Bringing into remembrance to the so-called black man of who he is. See? It says thy ox shall be slain before thy eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thy ass shall be violently taken away from thee before thy face, and thou shalt be, it says, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thy enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue thee. Ain't that what happened to us in this country when we was farmers and things of this nature? The European took a lot of our farms away from us. We had to leave the South and go to Missouri, St. Louis, and things in Chicago to escape the slave master. See? So we had all these things, but we was not able to enjoy them because why? Because when you're in prison, you can't enjoy those things. It's just like if you're in jail, you accumulate a lot of stuff. And then the CO come in your room and tell you can't have none of this. They take all of it out of there. See? You ain't supposed to have a TV. You ain't supposed to have a VCR, somewhere to cook. See? You ain't supposed to have that. You in slavery because jail is another form of slavery. That's in the Constitution. Right? So when we became farmers and things of this nature in this country, we was not able to enjoy those things. And what is another way of farming up today? It's to be able to open up a business in your neighborhood. See, you can't do that. So what we're going to do, brothers and sisters, we're going to cut this off and we're going to finish on the next go round. Shalom.